welcome to Mondays with Mom, the podcast where my mom, Leah,
Hi.
and I, Jo, dive into her stories, experiences, and the lessons she's hoping I finally take to heart. My mom has always dreamed of turning her life into a book or a movie, and this podcast is our way of making that dream come true. One episode at a time.
And we're having great fun doing it.
And we're having great fun doing it.
Okay. So for today's episode,
Tell me all about it, Mom.
I thought we should celebrate the fact that you and I have finally managed to get our Greek driver's licenses.
That is something worth celebrating.
I mean, finally. And when I say get our Greek driver's licenses, what's happened is we were finally able to convert our South African driver's license into a Greek one.
Which took ages.
Only, it's not ages, Jo. It's only been 2.5 years.
And so much paperwork.
And you cannot believe doctors' letters, lawyers' letters.
My mom's aunt's famous cousins, uncles, brothers' letters, who knows?
Anyway, it's finally done. And I'm so excited about it, but I felt a little bit of PTSD and it reminded me of getting my driver's license in South Africa.
Was that really stressful?
Oh, my word. Do you remember getting your driver's license?
Yeah, I do. I don't want to ever talk about that.
Exactly. First attempt, second attempt.
Oh, don't go shaming me on the internet, Mom.
The fact that I was planning on your third attempt, if you didn't get it, I thought that I am going to take you to Krugersdorp to do it.
Wow.
Sorry, Jo. We're not saying what happens in Krugersdorp. What happens in Krugersdorp stays in Krugersdorp. So firstly, at the age of 17, I went and got my learner's license.
Like all students do, or not all students, all people.
And I was really excited because what you could do in South Africa, if you had a learner's license, is you could drive as long as you had a person with a driver's license as a passenger.
So who would that be for you?
Well, under normal circumstances, it's your parents, it's your sister. So my dad decided that he's going to take me out.
Okay.
And I thought that would be a great idea. So
he's an engineer, so you'd think if anything goes wrong, he's there to help you, right?
And he's also a fairly calm person. Mm-hmm. Well, he was a very, very calm person. And so we got into the car and I thought that would be much better because my mom was like a live wire. So we get into the car and I'm ready to turn the key and start balancing the clutch and the accelerator. And he says, no. So I said, what do you mean? He said, before you can actually start driving a car, you need to understand how the car works. So I thought, I understand. You turn the key, the car goes on, and then you put it into gear and off you go. No. And he started about the pistons and the spark plug and then where the oil goes. I remember nothing. I blanked it all out. I nodded my head. He even wanted to teach me how to change a tire, which would have been very useful, but not when someone's really excited to do their first driving lesson.
So basically, right information, wrong time.
Right information, wrong time. And he did this for a while. And I did. I tried to pretend I was interested because he would not take me driving until I'd understood how the car worked. So at the time, I remembered. I don't think I remember now anymore. Eventually, I realized that the only way I was actually going to get to learn how to drive was through an instructor.
Okay.
So I started getting lessons, and after a while, the instructor told me that I was ready and we'd go do my driver's license. And I remember how excited I was. Then we booked to do the driving test. And it was quite expensive because every time I had to do a driving test, I had to pay for a lesson, pay for the use of the instructor's car, and then pay for the driving test.
Uh-huh.
So you didn't want to do this many times, Jo. Anyway, So on my first attempt, and I was really proud of myself, this driving test went well. In fact, the guy that was testing me, as we finished the test, he turns around and he says to me, wow, I haven't taken a single point off. He said, this was amazing. You actually get 100% for your driving test. And I was so excited that I took my foot off the clutch and I stalled the car. And in those days, you stall the car, it's an instant fail.
Oh, no.
These days.
So really, you can backtrack your little, Jo, we're talking about you, Jo, and your driving test, Jo, because you also...
Yes, but mine was 100%. I didn't slide down the hill, Jo.
Yeah, because my car was faulty, Mom.
Okay. So, moving on, Jo.
Let's move on.
I had heard in those days, in the old days when I was 18, that what you would do when you'd get a driver's license, if you really wanted to make sure you get it, you wear a short skirt.
Oh, my word.
And some people would say you put a bottle of whiskey at the bottom of your car so the instructor knows. So I thought, okay, I'm not doing the whiskey thing in case we all get arrested, but I did wear a short skirt. Not the shortest skirt I owned, but I did. Anyway, needless to say, I got my second 100% and passed the test and got my driver's license. And now I was really, really excited. My parents had an extra car at home that wasn't being used. And so I thought, now this is awesome. I'm going to just slide into that car and start driving as normal people would do.
Mm-hmm.
And I got home and I got so excited. And I told my mom, this is amazing, because it was her car, the spare car. I said, this is amazing. I got my driver's license. She said, well, I don't think you're ready to drive. So I said, what do you mean? Have you ever driven with me? And she said that in order to drive or get given a car, that I would have to pass her driving test as well.
Oh, no, another driving test.
Another driving test. And this time, because she was very anxious for some reason, I think I'm a really good driver, she decided that in order for me to pass this test or to pass her test, that she's sure that I can drive, the instructor thought I could drive, the South African government thought I could drive, but my mom didn't think I could drive. She said, okay, we're going to go for a drive, me, you, and your dad. So I thought, I can handle that. Put them both. I had my dad in the front seat, put my mom in the back seat. Off we went, and we get to the first intersection. And now I needed to turn left, and there were cars coming from the right. And so I decided I'll go when I think it's safe. So I look and I see that the car that's coming is far in the distance. And my dad looked as well, and he said, go. And my mom says, stop. It's not safe. And my dad says, go. And my mom said, it's my car and you can't go.
Oh,
and I thought, I sat there, cars behind me were hooting. I thought, I don't know, I was going to stop. People thought I was stalling my car. It was a disaster. Needless to say, I failed my mom's test.
Yeah, but I think that was like from outside interference.
Completely outside interference. So I kind of was trying to convince her and said, Mom, please, I need a car. I need to get to university. No, she said, I'm going to take you because you're not ready to drive. Now, just to fill you guys in, it took my mom longer than it took me to convert my South African driver's license to a Greek driver's license. It took my mom 3 years to give me a car and allow me to drive.
Wow.
3 years. From the age of 18 till 21, I wasn't allowed to drive. I kept telling her, Mom, I'm legally allowed to drive. So she would say, well, go legally get yourself a car. I told her she was insane. I fought. I pleaded with her, and nothing. She was relentless. She would not allow me to use the car. That was it. I was completely stuck, having my mom driving me everywhere. And my mom, God rest her soul, amazing woman, strong woman. I adored my mom. Well, her driving, my heaven, she drove like a snail. She would drive so slowly, it would frustrate me to death. She was the one in the car that was saying, don't go. So the only time we could turn left is if there were no cars coming. All the cars in Johannesburg had passed us, and then we were allowed to go. Then what she discovered, which, I mean, was very amusing for some people, but, for me, is once she hurt her wrist. And so I, being such a nice daughter, was not holding a grudge against her for not letting me drive. Well, I kind of was holding a grudge, but that was beside the point.
It does sound like you were holding a grudge.
I bandaged her wrist for her. And she noticed that when she was wanting to change lanes, what she would do is stick out this bandaged wrist, and people felt sorry for her.
Ooh.
So they would slow down and let her pull in.
That's so funny.
So months after the wrist had healed, she would keep the bandage on and just put it on every time so she could let people let her in. It was hysterical, and people would let her in. They would see this bandage wrist and they think shame and let her in. Needless to say, they would regret it afterwards because she'd be driving so slowly in front of them.
Well, shame. She was an injured woman.
An injured woman. So I did what any good girl at varsity would do. I approached some of my nice male friends.
Okay.
Shout out to one of my absolute best male friends, Creton, who I explained my distress, and he allowed me to use his car. So when I would get to varsity, I would then excuse my mom, get into Creton's car and drive wherever I needed to drive. And the good thing
That's
was,
very nice of him.
yes, he was an amazing friend. And I don't know what I would have done without him at varsity or uni, as they call it these days. The good thing about the situation was that in those days, you weren't required to carry your driver's license on you.
Oh,
So if you got into an accident or there was some kind of problem, you would have to appear at a police station within 48 hours and present your driver's license there.
that's interesting.
Yes, so it was actually quite helpful. It reminds me, can I just go on a slight tangent as I do? It just reminds me of another story quickly about a driver's license of another friend of mine, Costa. And Costa lived in our area. And what he used to do is often take his eldest brother's car or take his mom's car and drive around. And he always knew that if something went wrong, he would be able to take his older brother's driver's license to the police station and everything would be okay.
Just throw his brother under the bus.
He would throw, and now his name was Costa. His name is Costa. His brother is George. And so the one day, it was so funny. At his house, he arrives, the police brought him home because he had been involved in a car accident. And what he wanted to be sure is that his mom would back the story that he's not Costa because Costa was underage and shouldn't be driving, and that he's actually George, who was old enough to be driving. And so he comes in with the police because he kind of wrecked the car. And they brought him home and he whispers to his mom in Greek, Mama, Ime, or Yorgos, which to anyone who's non-Greek speaking, Mom, I'm George. And the mom looks at him, knowing that the police have brought him, knowing that his car's been wrecked, and thinks that he's got a head injury and he's confused and he doesn't understand that he's actually Costa. So she says, no, my child, you're Costa, you're Costa. And he's saying, Mom, I'm George. And she's saying, no, you're not George, you're Costa. So it was hysterical. Now back to our main story.
Oh, okay, that was a good side story.
That was a good side story. So back to our main story, I finally was given a car at 21 and I was allowed to drive. Okay, it was still torture because for the first 6 months, what my mom insisted on doing is driving in front of me on the way to university. I swear I wanted to take that bandaged wrist and make it need bandaging for sure. I was ready to jump out of my car because there would be a traffic light that was still green, but my mom would anticipate that in the next 4 minutes it might turn yellow. So she would start slowing down from then. And I was behind her and the wrist would come out. And I thought, no, this is not going well. But at the tender age of 21, and now please, just on a side note, because we'll get to this again, this didn't happen to my sister. My sister at the age of 18, who I'm not going to blacken her name and reveal how many attempts it took for her to get her driver's license, she was given a car immediately and was told it's fine to drive. I couldn't understand why I was being singled out.
Maybe that was the reason. Maybe they just were learning from experience.
Oh, Lord. Okay. So just to get back into it now, at the age of 21, there I am, and I'm driving around behind my mom. But there were times that I managed to drive on my own. And I was really proud of myself. And I would then do all the things I wasn't able to do beforehand. So I would go to various shops and I would try get there after work and quickly go do some of my shopping. And on one of the occasions that this happened to me, I hadn't quite realized. I mean, I wasn't really listening to my dad when he was telling all these stories. And I didn't know that my battery was going to die at some point. And I ended up at these shops it must have been winter, and the shops were going to close at around 5:30. And this must have been about 5:10 when
late.
It was late and it was actually quite dark outside. And I get to my car and I noticed that the battery's dead.
Oh no. I could just imagine.
That I knew. I didn't even need my dad to know that click, click, click sound means you've got no battery, it's dead. And in those days, again, I'm talking about as ancient times for you, Jo, there were no cell phones. So I needed to make a plan. So I locked the car, rushed back into the shop and begged them, could I please use their phone to make a phone call? And I did what any good self-respecting Greek girl would do. I called Daddy. So I called my dad and I said, Dad, I don't know what to do. And my dad started in his usual way that, okay, don't panic, stay calm. This is simple. Firstly, he said, you put the car into second gear and then you take your foot off the clutch.
Okay.
And he said that will start the battery.
So you're like, simple. All right, let's do it.
Now, I'm convinced that's what I heard. I'm sticking to my story no matter what. So I go back out into the parking lot. It even took me time to find my car because it was completely black out
dark,
there.
okay.
It was completely
You
dark.
forgot where you parked.
No. I mean, that would happen, but it didn't happen. So I knew where I was parked, but it took me some time. And I get there and I'm now literally feeling quite anxious because it's cold, it's dark, and
Your car is not starting.
my car's not starting. And as we know from all our previous podcasts, even in those days, Johannesburg was not safe.
Yeah.
Especially not after dark.
Not for a woman at night.
Not for a woman alone at night. But anyway, I walked into my car kind of a little bit scared. But once I was in the car, I had the confidence. I thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this car into second gear and lift my foot off the clutch.
And then it'll be fine. I'll start the car. It's simple.
So I did it and I put my car in second gear and lifted the clutch and nothing happened.
Oh.
And I did it again and nothing happened.
3 times a charm?
3, 4, 5. And I thought, what is going on here? Like, why can't I start this car? I kept putting the car into second gear. What my dad didn't mention, or he might have mentioned during one of those lessons when I wasn't listening, was that the car has to be moving for this to happen.
That would make a difference, wouldn't it?
And now, for the car to be moving, you need somebody to actually push the car.
Oh. So he didn't mention you needed a pusher.
So there I was on my own in the dark.
To the limit.
And I'm thinking, what am I going to do? But I didn't even know at the time that I needed to push the car.
I don't know what I would have done in that situation. That sounds very scary.
I mean, you wouldn't even have to worry now because there are cell phones. There's, there are ways I'd track you anyway, Jo. So I would know that you weren't home. You do know that I still track you. So,
yeah.
I mean, I would go on Live 360 and be saying, how come Jo hasn't, answered me in a while?
I know about the tracking very well. Trust
so
me.
In those days, it was actually very, very difficult. So I didn't know what to do. And I kind of was in my car and I opened the car door and eventually these 2 African guys that were kind of hanging around saw me. And this is when I realized for the first time that the car had to be moving. So they said to me, what seems to be the problem? And I was already anxious because I've been taught my whole life you don't speak to strangers. My mom was mugged by 4 African men in the light of day. And here I was with no light on my own in this car. And by then the shop had closed and all the other cars had left. And I was completely on my own. And
That's scary.
I was really scared. I had been contemplating whether to walk home because the shop wasn't that far away from home. I mean, it was 4.5 kilometers. Mm-hmm. So it's walkable, but not advisable to walk that distance in Johannesburg at night.
At night, yeah. I
was really, really scared. So for the people that knew Johannesburg, I was at the old Bruma Lake and really, really scared. So these 2 guys come and they said, what seems to be the problem? And I said, my car battery, but, I think my dad will be coming any minute soon to help me. And they said, we can help you. No, we'll help you start your car. And I thought, okay. And they said, okay, the one guy gets into the driver's seat. I'm thinking, there is no way I'm actually going to get into this car with these guys. And so I got out the car and he kind of said to me, will you give me your car keys? So I thought, well, how else is he going to help me? So I handed my car keys and the one guy was in the driver's seat and he kind of had his door open and he was pushing the car with his foot while his person behind him was actually pushing the car. So between the 2 of them, they were making this car move. And then I saw him put it into second gear and lift his foot off the clutch. And then the car started, which would have been a lot of interesting information for me to have. But even if I did have that information, okay, what was I going to do? How was I going to push this car on my own?
Yeah, see, that's a problem.
So I see the car start. I get really excited. Then I see the driver's door close and the other guy is in the car and the car goes.
Oh, no.
And I'm standing there in the dark with my handbag thinking,
What have you gotten yourself into?
Exactly. And more than that,
How do you explain to your parents that you willingly gave your car away to criminals?
and I was actually that's exactly what I was thinking. I was saying that trying to come up with a good story that, okay, I'm going to go to the police and report this. And when they say, how did it happen? I'm going to say, well,
They asked me
for my car keys. So I gave them the car keys.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, Lord,
Oh
what do
my
I do
word.
now? And I sat there and I was
Well, at least
literally,
they had the decency to like be like, help you out and be nice about it and not just take your car outright.
I guess they didn't just take it. Exactly. They asked nicely and I gave them the car keys
Yeah.
and off they went.
He asked you very nicely to steal your car.
And so I sat there like really afraid for about 20 minutes, contemplating life and thinking, oh, Lord, how am I going to go back and tell this story?
Yeah.
And
How did you?
well, I didn't, because I was still contemplating. This is the problem. It took me long to contemplate. And within 20 minutes, I see the car coming past me. And I'm thinking, what are they doing now? They're taunting me. And they stop, they get out the car, and they say, ma'am, here you go. Here's your car.
Oh.
What we were doing is we were just driving it around so we can charge the battery for you.
Oh.
Here's your car. Here you go. And I thought, wow.
Wow.
I mean, I actually was floored.
Wow. See that. So you weren't giving it to people trying to steal your car. You were just getting help from some decent guys.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And it just showed me that you do sometimes.
We just judge books by their covers when we shouldn't.
It showed me that you do sometimes, yes. So I was so relieved. I was so relieved.
I'm relieved hearing the story.
I mean, I really regretted not having listened to those lessons in the beginning, but I was so relieved. Then 2 weeks after that, I'm with my friend who actually happened to drive the same make, model, and color of car that I drove. And we went to a shopping center next door to the shopping center, and we went and had a cup of coffee. And I had this like confidence that humans are good and everything's fine. So I left my bag and my diary. I didn't leave my cell phone because I didn't have a cell phone in her car.
Small detail.
Yeah, her and I went for a cup of coffee, and we come back and we're looking for the car. And not because it was dark yet, but because her car had been stolen.
Oh, in the same place.
It was just one shopping center across the road from where I was. So I realized how absolutely grateful I should be that my situation didn't turn out that way.
Oh, yeah, super grateful.
But now her situation had made me suspicious of people again. My situation made me trust people, but then her situation made me suspicious all over again.
Wow, yeah.
So I now needed to inform my parents or someone that they need to come and fetch me from the shopping center because we don't have a car to leave in, her and I. So I get in those days, the good old days, I get to a phone booth.
Oh, a phone booth. Now that's really dating yourself.
Now, I still had my bag. I didn't have my work bag on me, but I still had my handbag and my purse on me.
Okay, that's good at least.
And so I had some coins. And so I put them in the phone booth, and I was in a complete panic trying to tell my parents again. I don't even remember at the moment whether I called my dad or my mom, probably my dad, because my mom would have panicked more than me and that wouldn't have helped. So I must have called my dad again. And in my absolute panic, when he said, okay, I'll come and fetch you from this area, by this time it was dark again. And well, I started walking initially to go to where my dad had said he'll fetch me. My friend got fetched by her dad. And as I was walking, you get the sensation when someone's following you.
Yeah.
I could just sense that someone was following me. So I started walking faster.
Yeah.
And it felt like the footsteps were getting faster. I kind of felt like I was in one of those movies. I felt like Jaws music, do is going to start. I was really, really getting myself worked up.
Uh-huh.
And so I kind of began to
walk faster,
almost like a jog walk. And it felt like the person behind me is doing the same thing. I was too scared to even turn around and look. And I thought, at least I'll get to the point where my father's going to be waiting for me. And then I break out into a jog, and it feels like the person's jogging. I break into a run. And I'm practically sprinting, like doing my version of Usain Bolt. But wearing, I don't even know what I was wearing, but I certainly wasn't running as fast as he was.
That's scary.
And I get to a point where I can't run anymore.
Why? Like, was there a dead end?
There was a door that was blocking me that I needed to get out of. And because the door was closed, I had to stop to push the door. And then suddenly the guy catches up to me and like puts his arm on my shoulder.
Oh, my word.
You know, it felt like in Michael Jackson Thriller. I didn't know what I was going to find. And I spin around and look at him. And there's this African guy that looks at me and says, "Ma'am, I've got your purse. You left it on top of the phone booth." And I thought, oh, Lord, here I go again. So now I start trusting people again. And I realized that, you know what, there are good people out there. There really, really are.
There's good out there in the world, for sure. So, Mom, do you think we have time for one more story? Because I don't want it to stop today.
Okay, well, I just one quick one. Now that we're talking about good people and good Samaritans and don't judge a book by its cover, I was once involved in a car accident.
Oh no.
Yeah, there's another podcast that I'll go into about all the car accidents. But this one particular accident, I was hit by someone from the back. So I was rear-ended. And I jumped out the car, slammed on brakes, got out, jumped out the car to get the person's details. And the person who had hit me was this little guy who was actually delivering teeth. Like, not
human teeth?
Human teeth, but like crowns and implants. He was like a dental service technician.
Oh,
and
interesting.
So he was delivering these teeth that had been made. I guess they're human teeth, but they're not human teeth. They haven't been pulled out from someone's mouth.
Okay, so they're not human teeth then.
No, they're like dental
they're
implants.
Made for humans.
Made for humans. And he was in a hurry to go and deliver his teeth, and he didn't want to report the crime or admit that he was at fault. And I was getting all worked up trying to explain to this guy that this is really important. My mom was never going to trust me with her car again. And I was like trying to explain to this guy how very important it is that he admits that he rear-ended me. And next thing, a car stops beside us. And my good Samaritan steps out. Now, this car was like, it was the equivalent of those days of like a Fiat 500.
Okay.
And I noticed immediately about this car that this car is like really low to the ground. It was like low, like Ferrari low.
Oh, that's really low.
And a guy gets out and he's the biggest, fattest guy I have ever seen in my entire life. As he gets out the car, the whole car lifts up, almost like you've got this automatic suspension. And this car lifts up and this guy comes and stands over me and this little technician and says, "What seems to be the problem here?" And I thought, so this guy hit me and he won't go to the police. And he looks down at this man and he said, "We are going to report this at the police station together. I'm following you there." Now, both of us, even I was afraid. This guy was afraid. We got into our cars and we thought we're not messing with this guy. So he actually, who had nothing to do with the whole story, he actually followed us to the police station, waited until the guy reported it, admitted he was at fault. And then he came and spoke to me. Okay. And what he told me was that he was actually Jewish.
Okay.
His name was Warren, and he was South Africa's sumo wrestling champion at the time. And
so you met a celebrity, basically.
I mean, wow. That happens to be a good Samaritan as well.
Wow.
And he actually took me to his car boot and opened it up and showed me. He had this scrapbook of all the events. I don't know why he kept that in the boot of his car. All the events he had won and what he had done. And I could not believe how sweet and kind and nice this man actually was.
Wow.
And people afterwards said to me, "Oh, why did he ask for your number?" He asked for nothing. He didn't even ask for my name. He gave me his name and he never even knew who I was. So Warren, if ever this podcast gets to you, I want to say thank you. You're an amazing, good Samaritan and you really, really helped me out. And on a side note, straight after that car was hit, I was meeting my sister for a cup of coffee. And I am notoriously late. I have a bit of ADD.
I wonder where I get it from.
Yeah, like someone else I know here. And also suffer from a little bit of time blindness. So I do tend to arrive slightly late for my meetings. And every single time I'd be late, I'd have this very valid excuse. Like, I was hit and then the sumo wrestler got out. And I was trying to tell my sister the whole story when I met her to kind of justify why I was late. And she'd say, yes, and pigs were flying on the highway as well. Well, my story with my sumo wrestler was real, and he was a good Samaritan. And in the end,
And he saved you.
absolutely. And what I did learn, Joe,
Yeah.
was that there's so much good out there.
Mhm.
And that's what we're going to take from this. And I'm so grateful for people like him that stopped. And you can never judge a book by its cover.
I agree. It's really true.
Yeah, you really, really can't.
I like that. And I like that as a gratitude thing as well. Because I'm also grateful that you
I'm still
that
around.
you're still around, that you experience the kindness of other people, and that you're okay, and that you live to tell the tale, and that these tales are like funny and not terrifying.
Well, not anymore. Some
Not
of them in the dark were a bit terrifying, but now they're not. And it just, I don't know, it just shows you that human beings are actually awesome.
Yeah, and that there's lots of good in the world.
Definitely.
Even though sometimes you can struggle to find it, it is there.
Absolutely. And you know what? Sometimes it finds you.
That's true. And on that note, thank you for telling me all these stories.
It's been great fun.
I've so enjoyed it. I enjoy every single episode I have with you, and I can't wait for the next one.
Me too.
And on that note,
thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks for listening, and remember to subscribe if you loved it, and follow for more. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.